Hey everyone, Erin from the Impatient Gardener here, and today I'm doing something in the garden that I'm sure you probably all are doing too, which is just some general cleanup. You know, I have taken a much different approach to cleanup in recent years, which is that I wait quite a bit to do it. I'm trying to be much more cognizant of the creatures that inhabit our gardens and what they need. So I wait a little bit longer than I used to, and I don't worry as much about having it perfectly clean. At some point I realized that the idea of scraping off all this beautiful organic matter that is laying on the top of the soil only to go back and put mulch on top of it didn't make a lot of sense. So I just do kind of a general cleanup so I can expose what I need to see, make sure the crowns of the plants are all exposed, cut back anything that didn't get cut back in fall, which is most things, and do a little bit of weeding. And if there's leaves around and general debris, some of that I'm okay with because it will break down in the soil and sort of become the mulch. I also hate mulching, so that's another reason why I'm kind of shifting to this direction, is to start letting plant litter lay and let it break down and become the mulch, as well as just generally trying to plant more plants and have plants be the mulch, which I think is really the best kind of mulch there is. So I just thought I would take you along here. There's nothing really exciting about what I'm doing, but the approach I'm taking here is to break my garden into sections so that I can feel like one section is completely done. I used to do all the jobs, like say I do all the weeding of the whole garden in one day. Well, that wasn't true, but I'd try to. And then I never felt like anything was done. So what I'm doing is taking the garden into sort of bite-sized chunks and doing my full cleanup. The only thing I'm not going to do today is do the edging, which I really love edging, but I'm not going to do edging today because that is one thing that I like to do the whole garden at one time. So I will do all the cleanup here except for the edging, and I just thought I'd bring you along. But let me first just sort of show you the area that we're going to be working on first. I don't really have a lot of names for my gardens, but I guess I sometimes refer to this as the deck garden, and I consider both the area that's on top of the terrace and then this sort of lower area all part of the same garden. So this is the pathway to the deck here and along here. Last year is where I had all that Salvia argentea, which I believe all died out, unfortunately. There's a little dogwood tree here. There's a ginkgo back here. This is the area that all was planted up, newly planted up last year. There's a willow in the middle, small willow in the middle. And then down here, this is just perennials. There's a tree peony, things like that in there. So this is what I'm going to be cleaning up. I will tell you the one thing in this garden that you should absolutely ignore is this tree that you see right here leaning. So that is a columnar blushing delight apple that the deer not only ate every single tip off of last year, but they also rubbed against it and pushed it over. And I'm sort of deciding what to do with it. I think it's going to move no matter what. I'm waiting to see if it's actually how alive it is and whether it's worth moving it to somewhere else. So that will probably be gone at some point, but for right now, just ignore the giant leaning tree in the picture. All right, I have all my tools, so let's get at it. So you might have noticed there that I even grabbed a hosta and divided it, that's how I divide all my hostas. I just dig them up. Sometimes I don't even dig them fully up, but I dig them up most of the time, and then stick the spade straight through the middle of them, take off the chunk. I probably, if I had wanted to, I could have divided that probably into 4 pieces, but I didn't need to do that, and I'm just trying to, that's a lovely little hosta. I think that one is teaspoon, but I'm not sure because the label has long since been lost. But it's a lovely little hosta that is a nice little edger, and I like sort of spreading that one around. Well, I'm not gonna lie, it feels good to have that checked off the list. You know, since I made this switch to working on one section of the garden and doing everything at that time that I need to do in that section of the garden, rather than picking one task and doing it across the entire garden, I've been getting a lot more satisfaction out of it. I just feel like it's nice to have one area that I can say, okay, that's done, I can move on to the next area. I would feel a lot better if I had done that edging. Edging gets me, I told you, it's my favorite thing. I think it makes the biggest difference in a garden, so I get real anxious to do it. Sometimes I think I actually put off doing it because I like the way it looks so much that it's like a goal to achieve. That is probably a vision into my psyche that nobody needed. But I am looking forward to edging that bed, and I need to actually change the angle of that a little bit. When I had the drone up in the air, I noticed that it's not quite circular, and the whole goal here is to make this lawn kind of an oval. We're straying. Anyway, I cleaned up the bed. It's all good. And that's it for today. So I hope you are doing something fun. And, you know, sometimes we do these jobs in our gardens that don't take a lot of skill or a lot of thought, but they're time in the garden. And right now, for me, time in the garden is a real blessing. And so I hope you're enjoying some time in your garden, and we will see you soon.